So particularly at this conference, there is a lot of content around the valuation side of things, as opposed to the MBA servicing conference, which can be a little bit more operational. And so there was certainly a lot of panels around MSR values. And this has been a consistent theme in all the conferences I've attended over the last year. And then we've talked about on the podcast many times, but it's a whole concept of recapture and how that is impacting the MSR value. So MSR values are still quite high, and it is because of this recapture potential.
So reiterate that recapture concept one more time, just kind of breaking it down.
Yeah, and so the idea here is that if you are an originator and you sell your servicing to an aggregator, and you're basically getting rid of that borrower relationship. I mean, to put it very bluntly, right? You're selling it to someone else who now has more of an opportunity to recapture that borrower when the borrower decides to refinance. And so there's a lot of focus on those who can retain, should retain, particularly in this environment, so that they can keep the borrower close and they have more of an opportunity to hold on to that borrower for hopefully many refi cycles down the road.
Yeah, interesting. And obviously, again, that all leads to how mortgage company values that servicing, if they can value that recapture or not, drives the price that ultimately leads to the borrower. So it's the relationship and the price, huge components of this recapture concept, right?
Definitely. And so, with respect to the price component, that leads me to an interesting point where, of course, so servicers look at it a little differently. And so, some play the more conservative approach and they do not include the value of the recapture because it's not as black or white as modeling income on principal and interest floats, for example. Like there's a lot more steady data there to fully ascribe a value. Recapture is really, it's almost like a bet, right? And so for that reason, some entities decide not to include it. Others do because they want to be more aggressive all the way down to the rate sheet, right? They want to be able to give the most competitive price and they justify it by a higher servicing cost coming from the opportunity to recapture. But finally, regardless of what an entity might want to do, auditors also view this differently. So some auditors are okay with including recapture, and some absolutely are not. And it goes back to that same concept I just mentioned with respect to the predictability and being conservative with that or not. So lots of different considerations with how and when to include the value of the recapture.